If you'll remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Someone want to give me a motion on the agenda?
Make a motion to approve this evening's agenda as presented.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Approved. It's approved. Okay, we have some awards, I believe.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to introduce to you Hugh Gaines. He is with Troop 228, and he has an Eagle Scout project to present to the city.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there. Thank you all for having me. So I just wanted to kind of tell you all a little bit about what that is, and like these boxes that appeared. So it's a flag retirement box. If you're not aware, in the U.S. flag code, it states that when a flag is no longer fit to be flown, it should be retired in a respectful manner. And so if any flag is tattered or torn, you can come here and donate. You can just put the flag into the box, and they will be retired eventually after they build up for a while. And I wanted to do this project because the city of Flowery Branch has given so much to our troop, and I wanted to give back, and I heard of the need for a flag box, or you had too many places for flags, and I wanted to act and just, kind of increase patriotism and kind of just, help you all out. So thank you.
We appreciate that very much. And we're going to have one at the Visitor Center, I believe. Is that right? So you made two of them.
Two of them. So this one will be, it'll stay here in the City Hall, and there's another one at the Visitor Center. So either place you can bring flags to that need to be retired.
Well, we thank you very much, and we're very proud of Troop 228.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ma'am? Okay. Oh, you want me? Let's just all go. Okay, we're going to start with the public hearings, and we'll have time provided for everybody for it, about 10 minutes total, and then anybody who wants to speak against it, we'll get the same amount of time. So, okay.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a public hearing for annexation, rezoning, and conditional use. The annexation is a separate ordinance than the rezoning and conditional use. We'll have to approve the annexation first and then consider the other two, but my presentation is going to account for all three. Sheila's just sad. Okay. I'll get this one day. Maybe. So this is located at 4272 Thurman Tanner Road. The applicant is seeking the annexation at 4272 Thurman Tanner Parkway from unincorporated Hall County to the city of Flowery Branch. The applicant is proposing rezoning the tract from industrial to Flowery Branch Light Industrial in order to develop and operate a private pickleball recreation facility with the conditional use permit. So the location map is here. It's just north and west of the interchange with Litter Parkway and H.F. Reed Industrial, if you guys are familiar with that location. So this is unincorporated Hall County. We're going to annex 4272. And the surrounding area is all M1 industrial. The comprehensive plan has this as industrial. And so this would be in compliance with our comprehensive plan, even though it's not part of the current land use plan. And so this is the layout. 3 buildings are going to have indoor courts, and then they're going to have outdoor courts as well. And then associated parking in an intersection at both Thurman Tanner and at H.F. Reed Industrial. And then they have parking enough for a tournament. It kind of goes in line with my conditions of zoning. If you guys read my report, a pickleball facility like this is typically, or a tennis facility is typically located inside a subdivision. That's where you'll find these. This is the first one that I've seen that falls within a commercial recreation facility. And if you look at our code, commercial recreational facilities are things like racetracks, baseball stadiums, big ideas with a lot of parking.
Pickleball is new.
Yeah. So this is a combination of what could be fit inside of a subdivision, and which is in Code Section 12.1, but doesn't fit the scale of the commercial facility. So even though we're rezoning it to M1 to fit the comprehensive plan and the future land use plan, that's why we have a conditional use permit for indoor and outdoor recreational facilities, but kind of using the dimensional standards of Section 12.1, which is more residential. So I incorporated all that into my
Use the microphone there. There you go.
That we lost it.
hit it with my hand. I recommended 6 conditions of approval for an indoor-outdoor with first recommended approval of the annexation. It fits within our comp plan and it'd be in harmony for the area. Second is the approval of the rezoning case and the conditional use permit for indoor-outdoor commercial facility. Applicant shall implement a 10-foot landscape strip along the property boundary to minimize noise impact to adjacent properties. Preserved vegetation can be provided in lieu of the tree plantings, subject to approval of the Planning Community Development Director. Adequate parking shall be provided to support the use. Maximum parking spaces should not exceed 102 parking spaces. Any signage shall be adhered to Flowery Branch regulations. And the applicant shall ensure that all facilities are properly maintained, including the outdoor recreation areas, restrooms, parking lots. And the applicant shall comply with all environmental regulations, stormwater runoff, waste management, and other applicable environmental concerns. And the applicant must ensure that proper fire lanes and emergency access routes and safety measures are in place in accordance with local fire codes and regulations. I'll go back to the site plan if there's any questions.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Why is the number of parking spaces limited to 100?
They need the number of parking spaces that they've shown to be the number. I probably should have mentioned this in my report here. We have a minimum and maximum number of parking spaces. And so the reason you have a maximum number of parking spaces is to reduce the amount of stormwater runoff, the amount of impervious surface. So we do have a limit to parking. They're asking for a few parking spaces above our maximum, and that's to handle tournaments and heavy use days. So I put it as a condition to go over our maximum, but at a certain set number. I mean, it's more like 4 over our maximums. So
That's to accommodate stormwater.
It's to reduce the impervious surface so you don't have as much stormwater runoff. Yeah, okay. That's the purpose of maximum. Yeah.
It's a good looking project, and it's one of the hottest things in the United States, I think, all over.
If we see more of this coming, I probably need to do a text amendment to kind of fit this into a commercial, residential scale. Yeah.
I have a question. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that take care of all three of those?
That does. When we get to reading it, we'll have to read two different ordinances, but that,
Okay, let me vote. Okay. We consider the second reading of ordinance 724.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
we need the public hearing.
Oh, we want to go ahead and do that. Okay. I thought we were going to do all three of them together. So, is there anybody else who would like to speak for it? Is anybody here that would like to speak against it? Okay, the public hearing's closed on that one.
okay, this, make sure this is on. This next one is for a variance at 5201 Mulberry Street. The applicant is seeking to build a new residential single-family home. This is on T&D, and the variance is to allow a front entry garage where the code section, Article 7, says the garages need to be in the side or rear yard. The location map is on Mulberry Street, near Pine Street. I guess you could. It's on the east side of Atlanta Highway. Our zoning map shows this as zone T&D, and there's T&D to the south and to the west. Mulberry Cottages was a development that happened not too long ago. Similar situation that we have here. So the site plan indicates that the need for the variance hardship is the flood hazard zone that's located in into the south east of the property, and extends into the property a certain amount of feet. The applicant states that to narrow the building itself to fit a driveway on the side yard would have the need to extend the building further towards the flood limits, and that has the ability to possibly affect the flood limits either through grading or the actual plan. I have not seen an alternative plan that shows how that's going to lay out, and but it's reasonable to believe that you would have to extend the depth of the house in order to accommodate a driveway to the side and a rear entry garage. Yeah, so the applicant's stated hardship is listed on the screen, just like I said. He has some distances on that, but I haven't seen a site plan that indicates an alternative design or alternative floor plan. And so I kind of stated that on my analysis is, a different floor plan could probably be shown, and it probably could be, but I haven't seen it. And the difference between this and the Mulberry Cottages is the code now allows a 0 front setback. The building could be moved forward with a new floor plan and possibly could have the ability to accommodate, but I have not seen a footprint that would show that. This is Mulberry Cottages. I provided that to show you guys that it was done around June 2017. I think there's a total of 5 located over there, and they had some similar issues with flooding in the backyard. They had probably significantly more flooding, goes further up in Mulberry Cottages, and so, but they were approved in 2017. So staff recommends the approval of the proposed variance. The building permit application shall include house location plan to be substantially similar to the plan provided by the variance application. And then the applicant shall provide a residential drainage plan, including proposed grading to demonstrate no disturbance into the flood hazard area. And the applicant shall provide 4-sided building elevations demonstrating compliance with the City of Flower Branch's architecturals. And then the variance is for the location of the garage entrance only, and the approval of the variance does not provide additional approvals of any local, state, or federal regulations. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the applicant had told me that he had to unexpectedly go out of town, so he may not be here to speak on this. He had to go to South America for family reasons.
All those houses have They have the same problem, and you couldn't put a garage in the back unless you made the house small. I don't think so.
And this is the property right next to the old Public Works building?
Yeah, it's nearby. Yeah, I think it's been demolished since. Yeah. Yeah. It's, you would think it is. I think now there's this wooden fence in between the two, but they're small. I think they're 50 foot wide. 40 foot is the minimum width for TND. Yeah, there's another one right there.
Yeah.
It's going to have the same problem with flood, and then the one over was almost completely in flood. That one won't be developed without a no-rise study.
Well, and you haven't seen what it would look like, but at this stage, we're not asking for any other variances other than the garage in front.
That's it, and that's why I put the condition in there that that's the only variance that's being approved or considered. They will have to, again, I put it in a condition, they'll have to give me 4 side elevations that meets our architectural standards, which are pretty tough.
Anybody else? No. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else to speak for that? Hearing none, are there anyone here that would like to speak against it? Okay. All right, good. We're okay there by doing the rezoning and the annexation together on that first piece there?
They would have to be read separately, so the annexation would have to be voted on first. If you accept the annexation, then you can move to vote on.
So we'll get
Mayor,
that.
I would suggest, out of an exercise in abundance of caution, that you announce the opportunity for a public hearing on the potential rezoning, and see if there's anyone here to speak in favor of or against the rezoning specifically.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to speak for the rezoning of the pickleball building? Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to speak against it? Hearing none, then. Very good. So we'll move down to unfinished business, the second reading for ordinance 724.
Mayor and Council, I've had this in front of you guys a few times, and as well as the public. So this is for a stream buffer variance at 4627 Atlanta Highway. And we have a certain amount of square footage being disturbed inside the 50-foot stream buffer and our in the city 75-foot impervious setback due to the location of the stream. It really limits the depth of the developable area of the property. I'll just go straight to the site plan we've seen before. So the dark green is the encroachment into the impervious setback. That area will all be routed. The stormwater will be routed into the stream buffer, into the detention pond, and then light green is the undisturbed buffer. And we've talked about this before. Buffer averaging, we're preserving more than we're disturbing, and that kind of relieves some of the environmental impacts of stormwater runoff. And that's the buffer averaging that we've gone through: the stormwater treatment, habitat preservation, buffer functionality, erosion control, and aesthetic value for preservation. We also last month showed the 4-sided buildings of brick. We have those on the agenda as well. And then we provided this to show that the box trucks would be the only kind of trucks that would fit for delivery due to the limited amount of distance between the right-of-way and where the stream buffers are. And then these are the staff recommended. This hasn't changed since the first time we've read through those. So the square footages of the disturbance are set in the conditions, and all the other conditions are the same we've seen before. So I think the issue that we had last time was discussion of a left turn lane. It got tabled in order to consider the engineering impacts on that. So if there's any other questions from me? Okay.
Thank you. it's going to be a presentation for 4560 Hog Mountain Road. If you would, when anyone that comes up, if you give your name and your address for the record.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Kirkland Cardin. My address is 3109 Abbott's Oak Way, Duluth, Georgia, 30097. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you this evening to talk about a proposed development or project that we're looking to do off Hog Mountain Road. So I guess a little bit about myself. All right, first we'll go over the agenda. So real quick, we'll do introductions on myself and the firm I'm with. I'm here with the residential group. I've been a partner with them for a little bit, about 2 years now. We'll talk about introduction about our firm, highlight some of the past projects we've done in Metro Atlanta that I think would be a similar product type for what we're trying to accomplish over off Hog Road, talk about our vision for the site, then lay out next steps if we choose to move forward with this project, then have an open discussion, some Q&A. Hopefully we can provide additional information or context, answer any questions you may have with the site. Keep in mind, it's in the early stages, right? So information I have may be limited, but I'll do all I can to help. So introduction, who we are. As I said before, I'm a partner with the residential group. A little bit about myself, a 20-year resident of Gwinnett County, Georgia. Went to Georgia State University. Got good experience working in urban planning and municipal planning. My first job out of college, I worked as a city planner for the city of Chamblee. After that, I worked for the Georgia Department of Transportation for a little more than 5 years. So got some good state and local experience, especially working in municipal planning and land use. So the residential group is a full-service multifamily residential development company formed by Pablo Diego, Gerald Massey III, and Kurt Alexander, who is here in the audience today. The partners of the residential group collectively have developed have 60 years of experience in multifamily residential development. As a group, our firm has developed over 30,000 units. The residential group is a full-service multifamily development company that focuses on land development, construction, and property management in the Southeast United States. Our development transition, the partners of the residential group, we invest anywhere from 10% to 100% of the equity required for a transaction, which shows our commitment to standing behind each project that we develop. So again, some people in our industry will build a community, and within 12 or 24 months, maybe 5 years, they're quick to sell it when the time is right. Depending on the financing and how much equity we put in the deal, these are long-term holds with us. So again, it shows that we're investing in the project, we're investing in the community that we choose to do business in or choose to develop in. So real quick on this slide, we'll talk a little bit about some of the past projects we've done in recent years in the Metro Atlanta area. Our firm has a long history of developing quality multifamily communities across the Southeast United States, specifically Metro Atlanta. And also we work with local communities to help address some of their housing challenges. We have experience using things such as TADs, tax credits, to think creatively to help develop much-needed multifamily housing in different communities. Now, I'll spare you on the academic stuff, but it's pretty well documented by Department of Community Affairs, Atlanta Regional Commission, and other organizations that, in Georgia we are seeing lack of housing inventory. So our goal is to provide much-needed market-rate housing that serves the need, but is also a value add for the community. And the 3 projects I'll highlight, again, these are similar product types that we feel will be a good fit for this site that we're looking at, all of which have been developed recently. Some are either in the development phase or near completion. So the first one we'll highlight is the Wren. This one is located in the city of Lawrenceville. It's 361 units. It consists of 3 4-story splits. So that's when you have a hill and it's a combination of a 3 4-story building, depending on the side of the building you're standing. The Wren is conveniently located right off 316. It's a short drive from downtown Lawrenceville, and it's within walking distance of Georgia Gwinnett College, GGC. This project has some great Class A amenities, such as Class A finishes in the units, has a great rooftop deck, which I'll show later on in the presentation, a swimming pool for laps, and a really unique green space, which you can kind of see from that picture. We actually put the park on the outside and press the buildings inside, which makes for a really cool, intimate, unique green space that the residents can enjoy. So, as I said before, the Wren is a luxury market rate community that appeals to all demographics, especially the student population next door. Construction began in October of 2021 and was completed February of 2024. And this slide shows the foyer when you first walk in the door or walk into the leasing office. So it shows some of the interior fixtures and the quality we have inside our units. This is a picture of the rooftop. So again, these are 4-story buildings. This is on the 3rd story. And when you lean off from the rooftop, you can see the green space. Again, this shows the kind of quality of the amenities that we build out for our residents. Again, this is the same rooftop, but maybe back a little bit, opposite direction view. You can see we got the cornhole set up, and if you turn around, you'll be able to see the green area, and the pool is right below. Again, showing the quality of the amenities that we do in some of our communities. So the next project I'm going to talk about is the Crest of Ackworth. This, again, is a 314-unit multifamily community. Again, 3 4-story split, surface parking, Class A, market rate community, located near the intersection of State Route 98 and at the intersection of 75. Again, adjacent to downtown Ackworth. Again, we try to pick good, strong locations when we scout these sites. The Crest at Ackworth offers something for everyone. This is a gorgeous luxury multifamily community, again, that has great amenities for the residents. Construction was completed on this site August of 2023. And then the final one of past projects is the Crest of Flowery Branch. We developed this project about 4 years ago. I'm sure many of y'all are familiar with it. I think some of the council members were around when that was approved. But this is a 333-unit multifamily community. 12 units are above retail, so it's a combination of mixed-use, commercial, and multifamily. And it's garden-style apartments, surface parking. So, on this, sorry about that. So, on this slide, you have the proposed site plan. And again, this is very early, so much can change, and we're looking forward to working with staff and the local elected officials to get feedback to make this a strong site. So, before you, and I should mention too, I believe you have a PDF. If you can't see this, you need to get a look closer. You have a PDF in your packet. So, this is the proposed site off Hog Mountain Road. It's just under 50 acres. As you can see, it's right behind Interstate 985, and we're proposing 275 units. You'll notice the unit count is a little bit smaller from some of the other units or other communities I showed you, but this site does have some challenges. Not all areas are buildable, but we think that's a pretty good number given that area. And again, what we're proposing is a luxury mixed-use community with Class A multifamily apartments. And as you can see, when you get down to Hog Mountain Road, we have some out parcels, some pads that would be zoned for commercial use. I like to call that neighborhood retail. Now, what that neighborhood retail will be is still early to determine, but this is what we have in mind. And As we've done with other communities, we'll have a full range of amenities, such as dog parks, different things. Again, it's still early, but the goal is to make a community that is a value add for Flowery Branch, this part of Hall County, and come with amenities that will help attract and retain our residents. So going forward, there are several steps. And, you know, if we choose to move forward, the first one would be annexation. As of today, this lot is in unincorporated Hall County, so we would need to annex into the city of Flowery Branch. And at the same time, the next step we would have to go through is submit for a rezoning. We would have to find a zoning classification that is a good fit for the proposed use that we are looking for, and find a zoning district that meets the spirit of intent of the city that you're looking for. Next, we would work with the city planning staff to draft a set of conditions and variances to make sure we're able to deliver that product, and again, work with you all to make sure that we're meeting the parameters that you're looking for in these type of communities. And then finally, a board vote, a consideration from mayor and council. So with that said, I'll open up for Q&A. If you have any questions, I'll happy to take them now.
Okay, thank you.
Not necessarily questions at the time. I think look very, very favorable. So I think there's something to talk about here for sure.
Excellent, thank you. And I guess the last slide will be thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak with you this evening. Again, my name is Kirkland Dion Carden. That's my phone number. That's my email. Do not hesitate to reach out. I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you over the course of this project. All right? Thank you
very much. Okay, next we've got the discussion of the second quarter capital update.
Good evening. I'm sorry I don't have any cool renderings like that, but I'll try my best. So what we like to do from time to time is just give you an update on our capital projects that we have approved. So I'm just going to kind of run through a few slides and discuss some of these things with you. First, I have a summary sheet, which kind of gives you an idea of all the projects we have currently in play, what their budget is, what's been expended on, and what's available. And then I'll go through a few projects that we've had questions on, like the amphitheater, the McEver and Gaines Ferry Road, and the wastewater treatment expansion. So first, the summary. It's kind of hard to see on the screen. I think you have in your packet an actual PDF that shows this a little bit better. So you can see a majority of our projects here are underway. I just wanted to call attention to, there's about a handful of projects that are kind of haven't had any activity. Just wanted to mention that's, you know, kind of one of those things that we talked about during our retreat where we just don't have enough time to get to everything. So we hope that most of these will be underway by the end of the year. We're working towards that. And there are several projects here that we got underway because we had the help of consultants to help us move those along. So those are, a few of those are like the Mulberry Connector, the Parks property and improvements, and you can see some of those that don't have any activity. So the first, we had a few questions about the amphitheater, where we stand on that. Kind of a quick update on that is we had the bid for this project go out yesterday, I believe. So it's out for bid, so we should be hearing some of those back in a couple weeks. So we'll have some more information to share with you when those bids come in. Next is the McGinnis Ferry, McEver Gaines Ferry Road, sorry, combining those words. I think at this stage we have acquired three of the four necessary corners to do the roundabout, and we are currently working on the fourth, which I think is taking a little bit of time, but that's where we stand on that project. So as soon as we acquire that fourth side, we'll be able to start talking about the next steps for that project. And then finally, just a quick update on the wastewater expansion. I know we heard last month from Pavel, who had an extensive overview of the financials and where they stand. As far as I understand, we're still on the same timeline in terms of completion. This slide, just to remind you, we have the official layout of the expansion, and you can kind of see some of those black lined areas. That's what they're adding. On this slide, you can kind of see the basin that we emptied over the last few months to get it cleaned out, and I think, if I understand correctly, this has been filled back up or is in the process of being filled back up, and from what Peter says, should be back operational by the end of the week. And then on the right picture there is our new mixers that have been installed that I believe are operational now, or will be when the basin's up and running. And then on this slide is a few more pictures. The top left is, I thought it'd be fun to show a picture of Archer Weston's offices on site, so just to show you they're there. On the top right is the construction of the bioreactors, membrane pump, and UV building. So if we go back to this slide, you can see that on the left side of the picture there, that long rectangle area. That's what they're constructing on this slide in the top right. And then the bottom picture there is, if you see it up there in the top left, are the bulk chemical storage. It's kind of hard to see in this picture, but it is currently holding chemicals. That chemical is H2O from all the rain and snow we've had, but I'm pretty sure that'll be pumped out when we get ready to use those. And then that's what I have as far as an update. Do you have any questions about any of the projects?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, man. Next, Chief Halsey.
Good afternoon. So as you already know, the Hall County Sheriff's Office has asked the City of Flowery Branch and the City of Gainesville to enter an agreement to create a specialized investigative unit, which is like a task force. So we've decided who we would be sending. I kind of hate to lose him, but he's going to do an awesome job for this task force. This task force is going to be helping the City of Flowery Branch, City of Gainesville, and all of Hall County. They're going to be specializing in gang crimes, narcotics, underage alcohol sales, vape shops. They're going to do it all over in Flowery Branch, Gainesville, and Hall County. This is the first time that Hall County has ever asked the City of Flowery Branch to participate in this task force. So I'm truly honored for us to be asked to participate in this. But with all that being said, us losing that investigator, that's going to make us one man short. And so I'm asking y'all to please approve adding that additional officer. I know it's in January, but we don't want to lose the momentum we have going on at the police department right now. And so I ask you to please approve that. On another note, after this executive summary was published, I got to looking at the numbers, and if y'all approve that number, which is $177,000, I assure you that we can get that number lower, and we'll report to y'all later on. One thing that I noticed was the vehicle price was like $64,000. Well, this is going to be an undercover UC vehicle, so we won't have to spend as much on a UC vehicle as we do on a regular patrol vehicle. So that's going to save $30,000 right there. So there's a couple of other things that we're able to save also. So
Any questions?
So by having this member of our police department go into this task force, then all the resources that Hall County and Gainesville has can now be used in Flowery Branch to address these particular, I guess, things that they're going to be
Major crimes, yeah.
major crimes we're going to be investigating. So now not only we're going to have Flowery Branch's resources, but now they'll also have anything Hall County has and anything the city of Gainesville has.
Yes, sir. So the city of Gainesville, the Hall County has asked the city of Gainesville and the city of Flowery Branch to provide one officer. Hall County's got 4 officers. So if, heaven forbid, if crap hits the fan in Flowery Branch, we are actually gaining 5 other investigators. That is a huge resource. Also, they want Hall County has already got a crime center that they want to activate, and this room is incredible. It's got every flock camera in Hall County in this room that you can pull up at one time. If we had an abduction, a child abduction in the city of Flowery Branch, this is the unit that would help Flowery Branch, get on a grasp of where this suspect is or where this missing child is or whatever. That's just an example, one of the examples. So.
Anybody else? Questions? Yeah. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, we go to department reports. The city manager's report.
I do have a report tonight. First of all, before I start, I did want to let you all and the public know that I had a great meeting with our district engineer for Georgia Department of Transportation today. Renee and Chris McCrary also met with us, and we learned that we've asked for help, and we've seen some surveyors out at the intersection of Lights Ferry and Atlanta Highway, and they had us on their, I believe it's called a rapid response list that has been ongoing for about 5 months now. So I was asking about the rapidness of the response. And it's actually a bigger project than they first anticipated, and they can't have their people go out and do the work, but they are going to have it on their next fiscal year's project, which their fiscal year runs the same time ours does. July 1 is when it begins. And we'll have work to raise up the level of Atlanta Highway, repave the whole area so that that crossing at Lights Ferry is much smoother and it's paved and there are no potholes or ramp. The guy called it the Dukes of Hazzard ramp, which was a great update we had today. I wanted to give a very quick update of the city's year in review for 2024. This is a highlight of our city clerk. You see just a couple pictures there throughout the year. Last week you saw the city clerk's number of open records requests. I've just included this sign again, or this sign. It is a huge sign. This slide again, because it's just amazing all the open records requests that gets filled, and we are having so many open records requests. City Clerk Sheila also completed the Georgia Certified Clerks Training and the Municipal Election Official Qualifying Certification, and she identified 508 resolutions that were scanned into our electronic library that's easy access for all of us and the public should we need them. On to community development and planning. You see first we have our fabulous Chris McCrary over our community development and planning department now, which has been a huge accomplishment for us for 2024. You see Rose Harbor subdivision going up, and then I believe the picture here is from Eastland Crossing. So the 2024 stats you can see, I won't go through all of them, but the total inspections are 1,697. Those inspections you will see over time, we have really picked up our number of inspections. And with all the homes that we have coming out of the ground, it's going to pick up even more. Our occupational tax licenses are 352. Total building permits are 385, total planning and development permits are 48. And I know those numbers don't add up, and it makes me twitch because, you know, I'm an accountant, but those are just, there are tons of other types of permits, and both building and planning and development, but these are just the highlights. Here's our finance department. A couple of pictures from our finance department. One one recognizing our newest CPA, Elias Gobble. And then finance stats. Elias earned his CPA. I am so proud of that. And then we have other staff achievements. Our finance director has been invited to speak at a national conference. And then you can see some of our other awards there. We do strive to get awards through the Government Finance Officers Association. We get all 3 awards that they offer. It's called a Triple Crown Award, and that's just the publications that we publish have best practices and are graded, and they are meeting those best practices. Department of Fun, who helped me put this presentation together, actually. I've given it before, but it wasn't as pretty as it is for you all tonight. Department of Fund statistics, you can see our how many community events we had downtown, 68, 135 rentals throughout the year, 153,000 visitors, and then you see the other things that we accomplished throughout the year. Now, I will say, too, the Department of Fund, I asked them to create a one-page publication of all of our year in review, and so they have done that because they're also our social media department. So we have just a few copies for you all tonight and for the public who is here, and we can have some more of those printed, and just you can hand them out and brag on the city like I love to do. Human Resources Department. These are the number of interviews throughout the year, each month, a total of 51 interviews throughout the year. This excludes the police department, and for those 51 interviews, we've got 15 new hires. Our turnover rate is very, very little, and our retention rate is awesome, and that is what we're striving for. Total average of 98.66%. Our police department, the Golden Children, we call them. Stats for the police department, and on each one of these you notice that we have included staff accomplishments at the beginning, and we are so proud of our staff and the accomplishments that they have individually, and it just makes our department better, which makes our city employees better, which it just makes our city a fantastic place. We had, amongst our police officers, the Domestic Violence Officer of the Year was named from Flowery Branch. There was a DUI award. You have to get so many DUIs to be able to get this award. That's Sergeant McIntosh. He is a DUI magnet. He can find them.
To clarify that he arrests the people, okay?
That is true. Thank you for that clarification. Sergeant Compton was our first Flowery Branch Police Department officer to graduate from SWAT school. And that is an incredibly, it's very physically challenging as well as mentally challenging, and it's quite a feat for anyone to graduate from that school, and Sergeant Compton did it, and he got a gold star for that. We also had 26,220 case numbers initiated. That's anything that happened. A case number was initiated. We had 4,443 calls for service. You see these. The chief does not like to highlight our traffic stops, but I thought it was amazing. We had 8,216 traffic stops and only 3,599 citations out of that. Now, some of those are multiple citations per traffic stop in my little mind, so there are a lot of warnings given. We truly are community policing, and our community loves our police department. I think that is apparent. Our Public Works Department, you see our guys hard at work here, and these are some of our unsung heroes. Public Works Department, when we had the snowstorm this last time, they were out and about. They were getting salt on the roads. We may have weather coming again, and I can assure you they'll be out and about and again. A couple of the 2024 stats here. We have, thought it was interesting, we had 30 animal carcasses removed from our roads. We had 8 vandalism or graffiti cleanups. And then it just sort of shows how many miles of roads we maintain, how many miles of mowing and trimming, ditches, and then how many water meters we have, how many sewer services we have. Just thought that would be interesting to publish how much they keep up with. Our water and wastewater department, a few of our other unsung heroes, our 2024 stats there. Our staff is doing amazing things. Soon in one of our council meetings, we'll have awards for our 5 different wastewater treatment certifications and our 2 different maintenance technologist certifications. Those certifications are through the state of Georgia, and they're very difficult exams for them to pass, but they have several staff who have passed, and it's amazing. You can see the total amount of water and sewer that has been treated. We had no wastewater violations for over a year and 2 months, and we've had some capital projects completed. And then we have our partnerships with our schools. You see our mayor and police officer reading at a school. We have our Cherokee Bluff high school competition cheerleading team that was recognized. These are some high school students that came out to the far right on our cleanup day. And that's not even mentioning our Boy Scouts troops that we have we have a partnership with, and our West Hall High School IB students that come in. We are blessed with our school partnerships. We have our new art downtown, new landscaping. The new art downtown, these are, if you're coming down Pine Street, you can see both of these pictures on Pine Street where the parking is by City Hall, off to the right on the Main Street buildings. We've had some new landscaping, and in our grants, we've received $632,000 in 11 different grants for 2024, and we were awarded the $1 million walking trail grant, but we haven't actually received that yet. Whew. I just thought I'd take a moment to brag on all that happened during 2024 and tell you we're ready for 2025. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Department of Fun. Is there any more there?
I just have a couple of announcements. Next, the farmers market is back. It's twice a month, the 2nd and the 4th. So next Thursday, weather permitting, we will be, it is our, I always mess it up, grilled cheese and tomato soup party. So we'll be handing out little samples of grilled cheese and some tomato soup. So it'll be fun. And then just a little tease. In February, during the whole month of February, love will be in bloom in downtown Flowery Branch. So look forward to some experiences in February.
Finance Department.
Sorry, a little static electricity there. I thought I'd mention one thing. You noticed on our slide she mentioned that we got invited to speak at a national conference, and I don't even think I've told Tanya this yet, but we also got invited to speak at so we utilize ClearGov as our transparency portal, and we utilize it so well that we were invited to speak at their product debut spotlight, and we're going to be one of the speakers in that, just talking about how we utilize our transparency portal and how all those things work together. So I thought I'd mention that also, that they're excited what Flowery Branch is doing, and they see that we use their product very well, and I've become very transparent to you guys and the public, and so they want to showcase what we do in their own product group.
Thank you, Matt. HR. Okay. Planning Department. Police Department. Public Works and Utilities. Attorney's report.
I do have a brief report, Your Honor. I wanted to remind council that if they want to consider opting out of the new statewide residential homestead floating exemption, the council must pass a resolution by March 1st of this year to do so. It must also hold 3 hearings before that date that are advertised. One of those meetings has to be between the hours of 6 and 7 on a weeknight. And in order to properly advertise those meetings, they have to be advertised and run in the Gainesville Times a week before, at least a week before the first of those 3 meetings. And so there's some lead time involved in that. And the clerk would need to know very soon if you want to hold those hearings and consider that. I'm under the understanding that the Finance Department has done an analysis of some of the impacts should you not opt out, and I think that they have that available if you want to see it. But I just wanted to remind you that that deadline is looming.
Yeah, I think that's going to be important to see those things because the numbers I've seen are quite shocking. You have them tonight? Yeah, why don't you do that? I mean, it's...
While he's passing that out, Mr. Mayor, if I may, just let you all know, my understanding is the city of Gainesville is opting out. So about 2 weeks ago, or maybe last week, sort of a bunch of cities started opting out. And the city of Gainesville is opting out, the city of Claremont. Hall County is going to decide later this week, next week. Hall County Schools, I have not heard yet.
They're opting out. It's in the paper this morning.
Okay. City of Gainesville schools are opting out. But I did want to just let you all know, City of Beaufort, I know, City of Rest Haven, they have already advertised that they're opting out as well.
Go ahead and explain this thing to us, Matt.
This is, so what you have at the top is kind of the spreadsheet part of it, and what we tried to do is kind of like a forecasting model for until 2030, and then you just have some graphs there kind of just to see visually with the same numbers. I will say that these numbers were based on as if this were in place in tax year 23. So 24, 25, 26, just to kind of give you a visualization of what this impact might be. And this, I will say, we think is a worst case scenario. So what we've kind of compared here is the assessed, at the top of the spreadsheet there, you'll see the homestead exempt property assessed revenue growth, and then the homestead exempt property CPI revenue growth. That's the homestead House Bill 581. And you can kind of see those numbers there. And just to kind of give you an idea of how I calculated those, we took the homestead exempt properties from 2020, tax year 23, that we pulled from, everybody received the tax grant from the state. So we had a good idea of the data and captured all the homestead exempt properties, which is what this House bill applies to. And we took the change from 23 to 24 in terms of assessed value, which I think was around 7%. We didn't want to go back too many years because I'm sure everybody remembers the last couple of years there was a hefty assessment value in those 2 years, so we thought it skewed the numbers. So what you see here is a projection from 24 to 2030 of a 7% growth under the assessed value and a 2.5% growth under the CPI, because it's based on the CPI index, and we know that the federal government wants to try and keep that around in between 2 and 3%. So we just chose 2.5%. And then the other two are just combining the commercial and industrial projects. Ultimately, the outcome was the same in terms of potential loss in revenue. So you see in 24, had it been in place this year, it would be about $8,000. But you see as it grows, this assumes that all those properties are never sold. Everybody lives in their house for those 7 years. Because under the provision, if someone sells a home, then the base value goes up, so that would change. So over that time period, we think we project maybe a $1.2 million loss in tax revenue. Again, I'll mention that's a worst-case scenario, and there's a lot of moving parts with this, so this is the best forecast that we could show. But just wanted you to be aware of the numbers and remind you that we have a lot of homes coming online which aren't in these numbers. So just so you can have an idea of the numbers and what that means.
Well, it's just based on the houses we have right now that we're
Correct.
taxing.
It doesn't include any projects that we've already approved we know are coming. It doesn't include any of that. Which you saw those numbers in projected revenue at the retreat. It was about $600,000 for those 1,000 homes. So
So to opt out, you're saying that if cities, counties, school systems opt out, they would not have to adhere to the 3%. They could go above that. The 3%
It-
pretty much cost of living type of assessed value going up. Right now it's capped. With this bill, it's capped at 3%. It can't go any higher than that. But you're saying if any city, county, school system opts out, they could go beyond that 3%. Is that what you're saying? Is that what this opt-out?
Well, if you opt out, the inflationary increase of value would not apply. It would be the natural market value, then the 40% taxable value against whatever the city sets as the millage rate. What this legislation does is artificially caps market value with a statewide index number. So that the 3% you're talking about, that wouldn't apply. I would also, just one thing I want to add to the finance director's, his projection assumes the millage rate does not increase. So that's at the same millage rate currently applied. And so if there was, a revenue shortfall, the city could increase the millage rate to make up that difference. But this is assuming you leave the millage rate static.
Everyone I've talked to, that the ones that have already opted out, is talking about, this is that they almost predict an increase in millage rate if they stayed with it. And it's something that we really have to, as a council, decide if we want to take that chance, because we haven't had to raise the millage rate in years. And
I would just add to another caveat to that is it's a matter of, are you going to raise the millage rate, or are you going to affect the service level?
What was that again? Are they?
It would be a matter of, are you going to potentially raise the millage rate to cover the shortfall if there was one, or do we keep it the same in the service level, the provided service, not necessarily getting rid of services, but are we able to keep up with providing the services that we currently do with the resources we have? So what I'm saying is, if you left the millage rate, we may not be able to meet all those services. I can't think of the word. The exceptional services we provide, we may not be able to keep up with that demand.
I think that's the reason we've seen so many in Hall County opt out. So,
If the county is the one that assesses the property values, then if the county doesn't opt out, how can Gainesville go up more than 3%? Because the county, if you've got a property that's $100,000, and then the county doesn't opt out, the most it's going to go up is to 103, right? So therefore, how does Gainesville then apply a higher value than the county? Because Gainesville has no authority to apply assessment.
What will happen is whoever's responsible for sending out the tax bills, the assessor's going to, the Board of Tax Assessors is going to remain obligated to determine fair market value. Against that fair market value is the overall percentage of taxable value, which is 40% usually. So when that market value naturally goes up, whichever jurisdictions are have opted in, there will be a calculation of that statewide CPA, and so there'll be essentially two sets of numbers. There'll be the actual market value, and there'll be the artificially capped House Bill 581 value.
and that same thing was, and I've talked to several people around, and that's one of the things that is really kind of crazy. It's almost like they got two sets of books to keep up with it, and that's, for the county, that's a big problem. So I don't think they haven't voted on it yet, but they're considering it. I've talked to Zach, and they are considering it. So.
And that's confirmed that the school system did opt out?
Well, in the paper this morning. I mean, surely the paper wouldn't be wrong. I don't know.
And can I just to make sure I understand, if somebody wants to opt out, you have to do some public hearings before you have actually opt out. But you could, right? So you don't. They're saying they want to opt out, but they technically haven't opted out yet. Is that correct?
The statute passed by the General Assembly, in the wording of the statute, when you advertise the hearing, it has to say, we're holding this hearing with the intent to opt out. But that doesn't mean you actually have to opt out.
Okay. All right. So you right. You can't just opt out as a council or whatever. But I guess the other question then would be, let's say you say we might want to opt out, and you go through all the hearings, and at the end, you vote not to opt out or whatever, based on the hearings or based on what you learn. So it might make the most sense to have the hearings so we leave our options open for the entire month. If we don't do anything, it's over. Now, on the other hand, I'm going to also say I would have a concern based on this was just voted on a state referendum. So I would have to assume there are a lot of voters that thought they were going to kind of top their tax bill after some pretty hefty years. And they thought they did that. And so if we turn around and say, oh, we're opting out, so your taxes aren't going up 3%, they're going to go up 6% because the inflation rate is going up again, I wonder how that's going to be sensed. Now, it doesn't appear that's going to happen right away, though, because it does appear right now that the CPI and the inflation rate is one thing, house value is another. I don't know what the assessor's going to do for that. We could see another round of 6% from the assessor, and those people that have, especially the ones that pay full taxes in Hall County, might be a little disappointed. And I'm just wondering how you handle that part of it.
It seems to me. Go ahead.
Listen to the gentleman, Joe Mezzanotte, for he knows of what he speaks.
Yeah. All right. I think.
Say that kind of stuff.
I think.
No, I'm sorry. I'm in the. I'm like, boy, this was a state referendum, and people said, this is what we want, and I can't believe that there's an opportunity. I know they put it in the statute and all that kind of stuff, but I'm like, I would not be for holding the hearings. I would not be for holding them. I would not be for doing it. I think that, no, absolutely not. I would not be.
Not be what?
I would not be for holding the hearings to opt out.
So you don't think that this bill is basically a knee-jerk reaction to huge property tax increases over the last
Absolutely.
couple of years?
It was in 2023. I mean, and they did that and made everybody feel good. And again, they left. I mean,
but if you go back before 2023, we were still seeing tremendous increases in the values of our homes.
It's because this is a growing area, growing population. That's a good thing.
Well, that is a good thing, no doubt about that. But it's also it's out of control, absolutely out of control. And I think you got a referendum. People have spoken and said this is what we want, and to override that, I mean, I can see why people get disenchanted with government because they went to polls and said this is what we want, and then boom, we're going to just override that.
So my personal opinion, this is a national election, and anything on there that had anything to do with taxes that increased taxes was voted against, whether it was logical or correct or not. For example, T-Splost. I think everybody understands we have an issue with roads. We can't maintain them. We can't pay for it. And we need something to help with that. But still, did it pass? No. That's because it was a national election, and we had a big turnout, and a lot of people checked that box simply because it was an increase. That's it. My opinion.
think they voted no for that because they're tired of being taxed. I mean,
Agree.
take a look at the amount of money that we give to government at all levels. It is extraordinary, and we're all doing it. We're all paying it. But at some point, you got to say, "My gosh, when's enough enough?" And I look at this as the voters voted on this. They said, "Cap that thing at 3%," and so.
Did the voters vote, or did all the politicians in Georgia vote?
Well, the voters had to. I mean, they had
Well,
to.
yeah.
I mean, that's punch the ticket.
Should we take a vote on this tonight? We're going to have to if we're going to.
I think the timeline is urgent.
Right.
If the will of the council is to have 3 hearings, which must be advertised as opting out, but did not necessarily dictate that you pass a resolution to opt out, you should instruct staff and the clerk to move with haste to schedule 3 hearings, because one of them will have to be a specially called meeting, and we'll have to meet the deadline to advertise in the Gainesville Times.
Then we need somebody to make the motion. Remember now, all we're doing is saying we're going to hold these hearings, and then we can talk about whether we want to do it later. So somebody make the motion in a second, and then we can go from there.
I make a motion that council move forward with the opt-out and the process procedures to investigate more about that.
Second? Okay, hearing no second, then we can't do it. Okay?
We get to vote again next council meeting, though, right?
A motion would certainly be in order at the next council meeting, which is February the 6th.
You don't have time to do it.
I would ask the clerk what's the advance notice for an advertisement in the Gainesville Times? So there would then still be time, it sounds like, to advertise. You have to have 3 hearings, one of which must be between the hours of 6 and 7 on a weeknight, and it has to be advertised at least a week before each meeting. So if you voted on February 6th, you could advertise the following week. You would just have to probably make it an agenda item at the remaining council meeting and have 2 special call meetings.
Thank you. So I suggest that between now and the next council meeting, that maybe we each individually dive into this a little deeper. The little article in the Gainesville Times was interesting and it was helpful. I sent that out to you guys if you had a chance to look at it. But I would also be interested in why all of these other communities are opting out when they have the same issue that we have. They have the same voters that we have. So what drives them to make that decision? Fair?
All right, you ready to move on?
Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay, council report.
Everything was good after Tanya spoke.
All right. First one, report.
Yeah, I was just going to say that might be the longest attorney report that we've had in my time here. But I did want to thank all the Public Works and all the staff for all the work they did in getting our roads back up to speed. I know we were getting updates and stuff like that during all that weather. So, as always, appreciate all you guys do.
I'm real, Tanya. Is that going to? Are we going to have? Do we have that in our computer? Are we going to get? We'll have one of those. Yeah, I think that was a wonderful report, and obviously it reflects very, very highly on what's happening in Flowery Branch, and you should be very proud of the staff that you have. All right, it's a wonderful report. I think it tells a lot, so I appreciate it.
Nothing to report.
Okay. I just want to echo what Joe said, we do have outstanding people that work here, and they're happy, and it just makes life easier for a lot of people. So we appreciate that very much. Okay, we'll adjourn the work session, go to the voting session, and we'll call to order and public comments. I don't know if any of you wanted to speak again, but on this that signed up, Kirkland, you've already. Yeah, I had a feeling that might be. And Kurt, you want to? Okay. And Reverend Kathy, she's already gone. So anyway, pass that down. Thank you. Okay, there's no public comments, so we'll go to the consent agenda. We need a motion there, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And go to unfinished business. Consider the second reading of ordinance 724.
Ordinance 724, 4627 Atlanta Highway variance request is an ordinance granting a variance from the requirements set forth in the City of Flowery Branch zoning ordinance, Article 26, Section 26.7, stream buffer protection, buffer and setback requirements, 4627 Atlanta Highway, owned by West Avenue Partners Group, LLC, as shown on Exhibit A, described on Exhibit B, and subject to the conditions set forth in Exhibit C, providing for severability, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for an effective date, and for all other lawful purposes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and a second. Is there any more discussion there? Anybody? No. Okay. All right, then all those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The second reading of ordinance 728.
Ordinance 728 is an ordinance to provide for the general election for the City of Flowery Branch, Georgia for 2025. Establish and set the date and time of this general election for the City of Flowery Branch, Georgia for 2025 for mayor and council members, post 3, post 4, and post 5. Provide a qualifying period for said positions. Provide for the qualifying fees for said positions. Provide for a qualifying procedure, appoint election officials, provide for the opening and closing of registration for said general election, repeal conflicting ordinances, provide for severability, and for all other lawful purposes.
Okay, and this just sets the rates that someone has to pay. And just for the public, from William here on this, all of us, our terms are up, and we have to decide if we're going to run again. So. But there are fees when you want to run. So, somebody want to make that motion?
I make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 728.
Okay.
Is there any way you can have a one-time increase to the fees for 1 year only? Like 2025?
Salary.
Oh, okay.
It's a percentage.
Sunsets.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the new business, the voting section, again, so somebody needs to make that motion on the new police officer if you want to pass it. So.
I'll move to approve the addition of one certified police officer and equipment for the police department and authorize a budget amendment for the associated expenditures.
Second.
Okay, is there any more discussion on that? Chief's still here. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It passes. The next consideration of ordinance 725.
Ordinance 725 is an ordinance to annex and bring within the corporate limits of the City of Flowery Branch, State of Georgia, real property totaling 6.72 plus or minus acres of land owned by Around the Pickle, LLC, identified as 4272 Thurman Tanner Parkway, and as shown on attached Exhibit A, providing for severability, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for an effective date, and for all other lawful purposes.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 725.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, pass. Consider approval of ordinance 726.
Ordinance 726 is an ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of Flowery Branch, Georgia by rezoning one parcel of real property totaling 6.72 plus or minus acres of land owned by Around the Pickle LLC, identified as 4272 Thurman Tanner Parkway, to be rezoned from unincorporated Hall County Light Industrial to City of Flowery Branch Light Industrial M1, and to grant a conditional use permit for use as a commercial recreational facility as shown and described on attached Exhibit A and as conditioned on attached Exhibit B, providing for severability, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for an effective date, and for all other lawful purposes.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 726.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and the last one is ordinance 729.
Ordinance 729, 5201 Mulberry Street variance request is an ordinance granting a variance from the requirements set forth in the City of Flowery Branch's zoning ordinance, Article 7, Section 7.1, purpose and description. Automobile garages located to the rear or side of residential lots, 5201 Mulberry Street, owned by Investin Land, LLC, as shown on Exhibit A, described on Exhibit B, and subject to the conditions set forth in Exhibit C, providing for severability, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for an effective date, and for all other lawful purposes.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 729.
all those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes. And we do have an executive session for,
Personnel, property, and pending litigation.
I'll make a motion to move into executive session for the purposes of personnel, property, and pending litigation.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. I want to thank everybody tonight. We appreciate you coming, and you can stay if you want to. We don't know how long we'll be back in this little room, but we'll be back.
Yeah. I'm going to upgrade. About to upgrade.
Oh, you're not part of the club, are you, Joe?
Motion to exit executive session.
Oliver and Will. Motion to adjourn.
Second. Aye.